Get the rock-solid support you need with an integrated jumbo-size wrist rest. An innovative smudge-proof surface gives you a sleek, glossy look with no fingerprints left behind. Over 500 programmable macros and 3 thumbster keys. Fueled by up to 2 32-bit ARM Cortex processors and a powerful 2 megabytes of flash memory, the Rocket Rios Mechanical Gaming Keyboard Series.
Well, guys, we were going to start, but it's looking like we could potentially have a remake here because no one is banning, and I see a couple players disconnected. And... nope, okay. Let's have a mulligan.
Get the rock-solid support you need with an integrated jumbo-size wrist rest. An innovative smudge-proof surface gives you a sleek, glossy look with no fingerprints left behind. Over 500 programmable macros and 3 thumbster keys. Fueled by up to 2 32-bit ARM Cortex processors and a powerful 2 megabytes of flash memory, the Rocket Rios Mechanical Gaming Keyboard Series.
Starladder falls! Liquid's doing it! They're gonna take it! He's gonna bring down Birdie! Alone with a double kill! Dropping fast! Monopoint's there! He's still alive! Wait, oh, second slide! He's got one side! He's got a second! He's taking it! Oh my god! On 3! They're all dead!
Blaze, I'm not sure if you were aware, but they're all dead. And if you want to support the all dead motto, you better pick yourself up one of these new BTS shirts. Teespring.com/BTS Chroma. It's been linked in chat quite a few times. We'll link it once more. We chose the design. You choose your color. And on the back, they're all dead. Welcome back to the third match of the day for Starladder SEA. Day 3 of Season 10. I'm Zayori, joined remotely once again by Blaze. And we've got First Departure going up against MSI. Blaze, initial thoughts coming into this match?
Well, in this case, it's a little difficult to judge because First Departure has had their highs and their lows, but I would have to say that they definitely have the advantage going into it here. Miracle was very well contested with some plays previously by Awake, and although they obviously are in a flux as well, I definitely think that in general the core idea of First Departure's drafts are very well set. So MSI Evo, they go for things that are a little more chaotic, a little clowny from some people's point of view, but when it comes down to it, if First Departure play their core style with some very talented players, they definitely have an advantage going into it, but it's a best of one, and anything can happen.
Yeah, especially when Miracle's on the field. Naga is not banned out here, and we did have the privilege of being graced by Miracle's Naga Siren in yesterday's coverage. That was actually the immunity game we talked about, so... we'll see. The sky's the limit when Miracle's on the field and some of his core heroes aren't banned out. Doombringer and Brew banned out by First Departure, Lycan, and Razor. So pretty straightforward bans, but I think MSI will be tempted to pick up the Faceless Void here, not only because he's a strong hero left in the pool, but also just to deny him that easy pairing with Skywrath Mage.
Yeah, not sure where they want to progress from here. It looks like Faceless Void can be picked up here as an offlaner or as a core hero. We did see some Bayabas Chronospheres last time around, and although they weren't the most impressive, they can be. It used a pretty great effect. So that really just depends on if he's on his A game right now. In the meantime, they're going to pick up a tried and true SEA pick, the Viper, just to try to win out that mid lane, survive against Skywrath ganks. Probably one of the better heroes to do so.
Yep. The Windshield Wiper indeed, paired with the Faceless Void, a great opening. 2 heroes that are hell in a handbasket to deal with. And a very open-ended draft as well. You can do a lot with it. Flexible laners, Void could be your position 1, your off laner. Viper could go mid. He could go in a solo off lane role or a safe lane. Just a solid, well-rounded opener here. We'll see how First Departure reacts.
5 seconds remaining.
Who else is still available here that FD might want to grab to pair with their Skywrath? I still think that Naga. Maybe I'm still just stuck in that last game we saw. No, they'll go for the Wraith King, another hero that First Departure do like quite a bit.
Ban.
Yeah, I mean that's going to be a nice pairing there. Great, powerful stun. You very frequently see it. You paired with somebody who can just dish out damage on top of that. And
Radiant
Skywrath might
team
actually modify
double.
his build, and instead of prioritizing Ancient Seal, could put out a little bit more into his Arcane Bolt and just give a little bit more bang for his buck as far as mana goes. But we'll have to see. No matter what, they're going to have good range of
Dire
initiation with
team
Concussive Shot, good powerful lockdown, and then from there, as far as the draft goes, it's a very flexible pick. They can run the Wraith King as a support, as a core. I personally favor him a little bit more as a support, especially against a hero like Viper, but it's not that bad
10
to have a
seconds
hero with 2
remaining.
lives when you're going up against a Void and putting him in a core rule set, because that means that
5
even in the
seconds
worst case
remaining.
scenario, you won't be insta-gibbed and completely taken out of the fight. You've got that reincarnate up your sleeve.
A very
Reserve
good point.
time.
Now, the Treant Protector, third ban from first departure. We've seen him intermittently a bit, but really not all that much. Any thoughts about shedding some light on a third ban for the tree here?
It's very annoying alongside Viper in general, because Viper is a hero that likes to persist through the team fight. Even if his damage is getting blocked, it's still going to be applying the Corrosive Skin effect. So essentially, if they want any chance of bringing down Viper at any point in time with some roaming smoke ganks and such, they need to ban out heroes that give him global sustain, and that's pretty much the tree alone. Otherwise, I have to TP rotate, and at least you get something for your trouble. But if they don't go for like a tree ban and they have to deal with that alongside the Viper, mid is essentially unassailable because you're losing out every time you go forward. Even if you do get the kill, you waste so much time, you put so much effort in, and a lot of the time
Radiant
you're going to come
team
up
back.
empty-handed. So they're worried about push as well. They're going to ban out the Shadow Shaman. That's more of a signature support as far as like flavor of the month goes. But
Yeah.
the tree is situational to the Viper pick.
All right, very true. And Viper already a pretty tanky force. That little bit of living armor can be what you need to
10
tip the
seconds
scales and
remaining.
the make it or break it, especially once you get down to those last few auto attacks when Nether Toxin
5
is
seconds
really
remaining.
kicking in. Omni Knight, the fourth ban
Radiant
for
team
MSI. Wow. Omni getting a little bit of love here.
Yeah, I don't really know about that one so much. I mean, it's obviously a very frustrating hero to deal with in his own right. They're going to have a lot of physical damage coming out
Dire
from
team
heroes like
pick.
Viper and Death Prophet, and the ultimate of Omni is extremely potent, but I don't know if it's really worth the ban. I haven't really looked at First Departure's recent drafts as much as knowing what they drafted a month or two ago, so maybe that's something that they've tried a little bit, maybe in an offlane role set or something like that. In his own right, Omni Knight is an extremely powerful hero. If you look at the buffs that he's received, very recently in particular, his aura is insane, and his
10
Aghanim
seconds
Scepter ultimate
remaining.
is blatantly OP. I mean, even if you have purge effects,
5
it's still a very
seconds
powerful
remaining.
skill. And Refresher Aghanim's Omni-Knight is pretty much game winning. Like, you
Radiant
don't come
team
back from
pick.
that. So there's a lot to say about the hero, and he obviously brings a lot to the table, but I am surprised that it's actually going to be a ban out in this phase.
Well, there aren't a huge amount of first departure games on record, partially because a lot of the SEA tournaments are a little too small to make the cut in what we consider competitive statistics. But on record, we have one Omni Knight game, and it was a loss. Let's see, I'm not sure which.
10
I don't have a match
seconds
ID here,
remaining.
but no, they don't have a huge history of running Omni unless it's a
5
very
seconds
recent
remaining.
addition to the strategy that First Departure has been previously employing. So who knows? Maybe it is just
Reserve
because MSI want to go pretty hard with the physical damage following this Death Prophet pick. We'll see what they do here with their fourth choice. But yeah, sorry I can't shed too much light on all Omni Knight either, aside from the stuff you've already gone over.
But we won't be seeing him here. It'd be a lot more interesting to discuss what he brings to the table if he did get picked up. But First Departure, they go for a lot more meta relevant and favorable offlane here. The Tide Hunter on the Dire side. This hero can get so
Dire
farmed
team
so
pick.
quickly, and in general can survive pretty well against the Faceless Void. The Kraken Shell doesn't help him too much inside the Chronosphere, but outside of it, he can lane well against him. The Anchor Smash is very frustrating to deal with indeed, and it just gives them so much potential team fight. When they really bring things together. The Disruptor pick is pretty inspired, though, as it does provide a silence that cannot be negated by Kraken Shell. It's kind of like Black Hole. Even when it dispels, you're still in the effect. It's a ground target ability, and that is going to remain
Radiant
persistent.
team
So
pick.
a
Oh,
cool
okay.
little pick, and I think it does bring a lot to the table there.
Yeah, not a classic counter. You know, you think of Disruptor really good against heroes like Wisp, Storm Spirit, Clockwork, anyone with a very speedy gap closer. But it is an interesting mechanic interaction with Tide's
10
Kraken Shell that,
seconds remaining.
for example, doesn't work so well against like Rasta Shackles, or as the other
5
day we saw
seconds
Shackle Shot.
remaining.
Those kind of disables where Tide really thrives. That's what the watermelon's all about. But
Reserve
I want to
time.
talk about this fourth pick from First Departure, the Alchemist. A little hard to say whether it will be a farming Wraith King or a farming Alchemist, but thoughts overall about the current state of Alchemist in this meta?
If I may be frank, I think it's a terrible pick. You're going to be kited around by the Viper. You're going to be locked in the Chronosphere. You just have so much time where you're not doing anything. And on top of that, you're facing 2 silences. So you're half the time you're going to be stunning yourself.
Dire
I think that
team
he
back.
does bring a lot to the table as far as that single target stun. He can go in an AoE, which is really cool too. And I
Radiant
think
team
the
pick.
Acid Spray is a great counter pushing tool. But in general, I just don't see it in this particular setting being of much relevancy. The healing is nice if you're not countered by like an Ancient Apparition pick, but even that's not off the table for MSI's lineup since they do have the Void.
Yeah, I feel like I kind of agree. I feel like Alk just doesn't really fit into the current meta right now. If you want to run him as a support, I honestly feel like Wraith King is just better.
10
He
seconds
achieves
remaining.
a similar feat with having a targetable stun,
5 seconds
but he's so
remaining.
much more durable. He scales, maybe not better, but it's a little easier for him just to find farm around the
Reserve
map with his
time.
lifesteal, and the reincarnation makes him a bit more difficult to deal with later on in the game. Acid Spray is very useful as well, but the Wraith King just has a little more utility.
10 seconds
Now, if it's a
remaining.
farming Alch, it could very well be a solo mid Alchemist, which
Dire
I think
team
if you
pick.
want to farm on him is one of the best ways to do it. He does do pretty well against melee heroes. It'll be either DP or Viper in mid, so I think it'll be Strug City for him either way. If he hits critical mass, he still can carry very hard. After level 16, that Chemical Rage is pretty ridiculous with the base attack speed, but it just takes him
Radiant
so
team
damn long to get there. And we've seen a lot of these games that are kind of over before the Alchemist could really hit critical mass. So it'll be interesting to see how they run him this game.
Yeah, I think that is actually going to be Miracle Core Wind Ranger. Yes, it is, and I love to see this. This is so far, as far as Core Wind Rangers getting farmed and dealing crazy amounts of damage in the team fights, Miracle is the best I've seen for this. Like, he goes for these awesome builds, like Maelstroms, Mjolnirs, Aghanim Scepters, Desolators. Like, he finds different ways to make it work against different compositions, but he always seems so inspired as far as what he progresses towards and what he's going to be able to build up. So we're going to see him in the solo mid. That's going to leave Kai to support on the Alchemist, and that will leave Wraith King in your safe lane farming role.
Okay, so great. Interesting stuff. A very tanky team on the side of First Departure. A pretty strength core lineup, and a game where a Timbersaw could have come in handy if that pick was available, but by the time you saw these strength heroes, MSI were already pretty committed with their offlaner here. Still a little unsure exactly how MSI will choose to lane this, but they did go for a 5th pick Lich. And I saw a lot of people in Twitch chat cheering for the Witch Doctor, and honestly, I would have thought that's a much scarier pick here, given you have the Void Chrono to set things up, and they banned out the Omni, would kind of fit in line with that mass physical damage they were going for, but I guess you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. Lich will give them a nice counterbalance here of some magical damage with the Chain Frost that we saw in Game 2 just moments prior. That Lich with a little bit of space to farm can actually pack quite the punch if he hits level 11 in a fairly timely manner. But we've certainly seen many games where the very opposite happens with Lich, where sure, he gets some experience early on and he helps get lane control, but it just takes a couple of hero kills to undo all of that experience he amasses with sacrifice if things start to go awry. Any thoughts about the Lich pick in general here for this match?
I think it can bring a lot to the table with the Chronosphere, primarily is what they're going for. Just the aspect of comboing the ultimates together is going to bring them a lot, because right now I think that it's all going to come down to Chrono, whether Bryabis goes for an Aghanim Scepter just to make sure he gets that out as frequently as possible, or if he just focuses on getting early levels. Right now, the Chronosphere weakens Tide's Kraken Shell, the Wind Ranger's Evasion from Wind Run, and in general just makes it easier to kill the Alchemist if you catch him off guard before Chemical Rage. So with that in mind, it really comes down to Chrono. They have to build the Chrono-centric lineup, and I think Lich is the best support to provide just that. Beyond that, it's just a hero that it's not the end of the world if he gets like silenced out by the Skywrath. He usually has the mechanism if the Viper or Death Prophet doesn't, and he should be able to contribute in the laning phase through sacrifice and survive throughout the team fight to contribute in general.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like it's pretty unlikely that Lich will be the mech carrier this game, just because DP and Viper can farm it so much more quickly, regardless of which one chooses to do it. They'll probably cut the timing in half if they leave it on the shoulders of Lich to pick up. And The also nice thing about that is it opens up space for him to get a force staff or various other utility items earlier on, rather than focusing on the mech. But we'll see. Some connection issues here. Starladder admin, Singapore, ... Rough stuff. I actually, I joke often about crabs nibbling on the cables going across the ocean, but I saw an article the other day that had a video of a shark actually chewing on the international cables running through the ocean. Our internet is literally being eaten by sharks, Blaze.
Interesting. I'm wondering what they would do to counteract that threat. Like
yeah, I don't know how you tell a shark.
We have sharks on the cables. What do we do?
Well, I don't know. Like a shark that's dumb enough to think, like, confuse a wire with like a seal. How do you convince that shark that the wire is not food? I feel like that shark is already so far gone on the spectrum of shark intelligence. You need to just give up, and maybe natural selection will take its course. But scary stuff, man. Maybe that's where some of the lag issues have been coming from with these Volvo servers as of late.
Yeah.
But
I know what Twitch chat would do. They would punch him.
punch the shark. Yeah, that's the. Wasn't that the ending of one of the Jaws movies? He just squares up with the shark and just jaws him right in the face, and all Sharky runs away.
Yeah,
I've always wanted to do that. That is the manliest thing possible.
True, it's true.
But alas, we have the reconnect disruptors in the game, and we've got our last match underway. First Departure versus MSI. What will happen? First Departure with a minor invade here. 3 heroes moving into the jungle. This is going to be an aggressive tri-lane. It's Chaos on the Wraith King, Lubby on the support Skywrath, and Kai will be supporting on the Alchemist, going with Boots first out of the gate. Does throw down an Observer Ward here to get some vision into the pull camp, and that's where their little bout of aggression will end. MSI will not defend their jungle, nor will they invade. Their offlaner will just get an Observer Ward down right here, smack dab in the jungle, so they get a little vision of any aggression that may come their way in the offlane. It looks like they will put Miracle mid on the Wind Ranger, so that leaves Dafa with a solo safe lane Tidehunter.
Yeah, the Tide's going to have a pretty fine position. He won't be able to access the Ancients, but he certainly won't be dying to this composition of heroes. Even still, Faceless Void is going to have a pretty awesome time farming away. Anchor Smash will maybe negate a handful of CS, but for the most part, he's going to have free farm up there. And it's really going to be, as you mentioned, the aggro try that really needs to make things happen. They have a lot of kill potential. Try to focus down maybe the Disruptor if he hangs around for too long, and yeah, find their openings there. For now, they're going to be maybe looking towards mid lane. If they can get early momentum for Miracle on the Wind Ranger, there's a lot of potential for him to run away with the lane.
Yeah, definitely. Very snowbally hero if you get that momentum. And I mean, Power Shot is just such a bursty spell with the way it works in general. So if you get that early experience and you start moving around, Power Shot can be pretty devastating in that initial like level 7, level 8 part before your opposition have really caught up from all that solo experience. We will see some more. It's a shark attack here apparently. High ping, they're all going to reconnect. So we'll have another moment here of being stuck in a pause.
Yeah, but in this matchup here, Death Prophet versus the Miracle Wind Ranger, he's actually going to start off with Shackle Shot here. It's pretty interesting for the opener. 1.5 seconds of stun is actually extremely potent to those early ganks and limiting the chance for Death Prophet to respond, but it is a little tricky. Landing it on a creep to latch to her is the only way it's going to happen here, and yeah, it is going to take some finagling, but if Miracle can land those baller Shackle Shots all game long, then this will give a huge amount of potential for them to just steamroll this game with their ultimates, with their skill shots, and in general with the level advantage. Right now, he's starting off with an Adult Talisman, being pulled 2 tangos, kind of similar to what we saw with Slick's Death Prophet last time around, whereas DP is running for a Bottle Rush with 3 branches, which actually could be costly, and not only in CS, as far as the fact that she doesn't have as much right-click potential as the Wind Ranger, but in HP, as she is going to be the target for the first gank of the day.
Yeah, and I think that's the thought process behind the Shackle Shot. Almost always you'll see the Power Shot, but for the initial kill, it's sort of similar to a Dragon Knight in the solo mid-roll. If you're going for the first blood, you'll occasionally see an early point in that Dragon Tail just to secure the first kill. When, of course, you want Breathe Fire like 9 out of 10 times. Probably even more than that. 9.9 out of 10 times you'll go for that Breathe Fire. A lot of kill potential here, though. 3 stuns, and 2 of them are sure stuns, plus a double damage rune on the Wraith King. For some reason, the graphic is bugged out in the pause, and he's not blue and glowy like he should be. But he does have a double damage rune on, and this will be a pretty potent opener. But MSI, they have more pressing issues here. Forget about the in-game problems. If they can't reconnect, then we have a whole nother layer of problems here. Hopefully they can get their internet issues sorted.
Yeah, at the very least, this is the last game of the day for us, so the time schedule isn't as important, but obviously the viewers we don't want to waste too much of your time. So
Yeah, you know, everyone in Twitch chat has a very busy day ahead of them. We're ruining their day with this pause. You're a saboteur, Blaze.
literally killing esports.
Literally. But we'll see. Only so much you can theory craft in the laning phase before any creep kills come out. Do you like one of these drafts way more than the other? First Departure is, I think they have the bet advantage pretty heavily here. They are 70-30 right now. So the fans have spoken. First Departure are the pretty heavy favorites. Do you think MSI can take a minor upset here?
I think there's potential for it. It really, like I said, it comes down to the chronospheres all day long. Like every single chronosphere has to be relevant in some capacity. A single whiffed one, and they lose a huge foothold in the game. But you really can't count out the Faceless Void, Lich, and Disruptor all on the same team in a mid to late game sense, because you can follow up the Chronosphere with the Static Kinetic. You can, of course, get the Chain Frost down. And First Departure doesn't have a lineup that likes to pick up BKBs. Like, you'll see it from time to time on the Wind Ranger, on the Wraith King, but it's not something like you go to as a core item. So they don't want to have to respond to those kind of threats directly, and it is going to be frustrating if those ultimates are really on point. Still, like you said, First Departure seem to have the better bearing on things in all stages of the game. And the only thing that I really still don't like is that Alchemist pickup, because I really don't see what it brings as opposed to many other supports.
Yes, indeed. I can't disagree with you there. I'm having fun with the crabs. My computer got invaded. We've got some other fun pop-ups here. I don't know if I want to spoil them. I've been saving them for the perfect moment, but this is the one from last season. We've got the crazy animated knife.
I think we might have a puppy pause factor here. Obviously, the main point of the pause was connectivity, but I just saw a bunch of drawing on the map around what they expect to be coming, and there may be some indication from an outside source that this First Blood is underway. So, I honestly think the pause was legit and the connection problems are real, but incidentally, this might be a unfortunate. I don't even know how to call it. It's just an unfortunate collaboration that'll cause MSI to have a small advantage coming out of the pause.
Yeah, we'll see. Actually, I have a message on Skype. Oh, never mind. Just different message. I was going to say, uh-oh, is there some sort of an official update about this said pause? But here we go. We're finally in the game, folks, and DP will be the target, but ping's coming out. Double damage still on the Wraith King. He has yet to skill anything. There is a concoction already picked up on the Alchemist, but up in the top lane, it's actually Tide that's taking some harassment. He'll be okay. Still trying to keep my eyes on this DP here in the mid. And there we go. Concoction down to 1.5. Shackle will latch, and they'll have a Wraithfire Blast. That will be the first blood. So whether they saw it or not from that pause, they will not take the easy road out, and that is a first blood conceded. Miracle gets the last hit, so that will tip the scales in this mid lane as he finds all of that bonus gold. That is a fresh bottle here after the first creep wave.
Yeah, the Wraith King actually showed himself for a quick second. I was looking at Radiant Vision in particular, and whether or not there was outside information doesn't really matter because he definitely knew the Wraith King was there about 10 seconds before the gank happened, but didn't expect the Alchemist to go right on through the trees, diving as deep as he did, and they do secure a very nice kill with a perfect combination of spells. So, well-earned first blood. Going the way of the Wind Ranger means he's already going to have his bottle on the way. So, bottle, Null Talisman, Wind Ranger at almost level 3. Up against his Death Prophet that went for a branch and a bottle rush.
Yeah, he will finally grab his bottle after getting a couple creep kills there. So the courier will be bringing it out as he gets control. Oh, yep, there's the stun on Disruptor. Follow up from the Skywrath. But will they have enough to actually bring him down? Disruptor cuts through the trees, glimpses back the Alchemist. Now level 1 glimpse, but they'll still chase him down. Arcane Bolt, there's the concoction charging. Easy vision, and Skywrath will secure it with that last auto attack. That will make it 2-0. First Departure, off to the races. This aggro tri-lane already successful. They haven't shut down the Viper, but getting a kill on his support will shift the momentum in their favor.
So we are going to see just huge amounts of momentum in favor for mid and bottom. The real question is how well Faceless Void is going to do up on the top lane to make up for it. We do see a pull coming through, but none of the creeps are going to be denied from this, and this ends up just pushing First Departure's top lane out. So in the end, it's going to be harder for Tide to feel confident here in this position, and Bayabas is going to get essentially free farm. He does pick up the Gloves of Haste. That gives him a little bit as far as options go between going for a Midas or going for the Treads. or Maelstrom for that matter.
Yes, indeed. Void is actually the last hit leader right now, certainly for the Radiant side, and tied with the Wind Ranger in the mid. So Dafa, only so much he can do here. We'll actually take a shockwave from the Satyr, man. That is some serious Tidehunter hate right there. The neutral creep even chipping in on him. But he's doing what he can, at least finding some experience. Halfway through level 3 and tanky enough that he can absorb this harassment. But with the Lich, combined with all this pulling and the Void just free farming away, that is mitigating the amount of farm Tide can get, though. Wow, he does have 11 CS, so he's actually found quite a few last hits as well as a fair bit of experience. Handling himself much better than this bottom lane. Viper is 11 and 8, same amount of last hits as the solo safe laner for first departure. The disparity, of course, is this Wraith King.
Big dive coming out from Miracle. He's going to pop the wind run. He will get the shackle. There's the power shot, and that is a nice little kill. No TP rotation. Knows how poor the supports are. Will pop the Invis rune. Doesn't destroy the last auto attack, but he doesn't need it to. He will survive. He will get the kill, and my goodness, is this going to be a terribly difficult lane for the Crobulus from here on out.
Yeah, absolutely. Death Prophet has made some okay creep recovery in terms of farm, 15 CS compared to the 23 of Miracle. Those 2 kills just give Miracle so much more. He's now level 6, DP at the beginning of level 5. Tunnel vision on this bottom lane as the dire supports are at any moment gearing up for an initiation. Alchemist is just waiting for that opportunity to throw down a concoction and acid spray. KS jumps the gun a little bit, throws out a Wraithfire Blast, and his supports are not ready to follow up, so no kill will come out.
The Dire don't know this, but Lich just used the TP and canceled it. So not only is that 135 precious gold down the drain, but no ability to respond to any situations for at least a minute. And that is going to be pretty brutal for them. Now they're pretty much on their own, and they don't really have any way of getting out of it. Still, Bayabas farming away pretty effectively, and that's really the only thing they have going for them.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. Right now, wow, Lubby already level 4. Second point in Arcane Bolt, but has that spread of Skywrath utility with the slow, the silence, the magic damage buff, and everything else under the sun. So much kill potential between these 3 heroes. KS now pretty much in free farm heaven. 21 CS up on him. Picks up his power treads. Thought he might be pooling for just a fast hand of Midas, but he will go more fighter based.
Oh my gosh!
Holy Toledo! Double damage
room pops, and he doesn't care about this tower's auto attacks at all. Like, he just wind runs it every time. Doesn't even need a shackle for that one.
Yeah, I was not anticipating another kill at this point. That is my bad. I'm still looking down bottom. It's 3v1 on a Viper, and I keep thinking they're going to jump on him, but they're pretty happy just creating space for the Wraith King here. So, what does the DP do at this point? I mean, do you have to pull a rotation? Do you get her out of the lane? What do you do for
a babysitter is essentially it. Like, Disruptor at least can pull a glimpse out, maybe threaten a kinetic field. Just the possibility of him having it makes Miracle act a little differently, because right now, as it is, he cannot 1v1. So they dropped down the ward for them. That's a really good starting point. But I don't know. I think that Death Prophet is a little distracted there because the supports were calling out that Kai and Lubby were rotating. They went out underneath the observer ward with a smoke. They figure, hey, they'll be there in 10 seconds. Watch your 3 o'clock flank. But it's going to be the head-to-head matchup that he really has to worry about, as Miracle just gets every single rune, is able to control the lane extremely effectively, and is now level 8. Like, this guy doesn't care about the tower. He has extreme damage, and we see the dive down bottom.
Yes, indeed. They go in on the Viper to start things off. He's only level 4, 2 points in Corrosive Skin, but it's not enough to keep him alive. Lich TP's down this time, makes it a 1-for-1 as they finish off the Alchemist, but only so much the Lich can do. Now a Wraithfire Blast to the face. They still have the effects of the Acid Spray, and that will really help in these kills. Disruptor tries to move into the trees. It will end as a 1-for-3 trade. Oh, boys. If that Alchemist hadn't gotten the Acid Spray down, I think that would have been a slightly different fight, but even though he fell, he still contributed so much from the grave.
Yep, the negative armor especially. Miracle popped the haster, and he was looking to clean it up if his allies would fail to, but fortunately for them, they only lose out on the one hero, and then the clear vision provided by Skywrath Mage's abilities is able to allow them to chase down the rest. So now Wraith King is level 6. He did skill his Reincarnate a little prematurely, but as long as he makes sure that he doesn't waste it, and every time he fights, they're going to be able to get a kill out of it in return, that's going to be perfectly fine. In the meantime, Bayabas picks up the Hand of Midas, and it's pretty much the only thing that he can go. Like, if he went for Mask of Madness build-up, maybe he'll find a solo kill, but the one kill would only provide him the momentum of 2 transmutes anyways. This is the reliable pickup.
Yeah, definitely agreed there. And already MSI so far behind, 7-1. They'll need some sort of recovery mechanism. Miracle in the mid lane taking a lot of damage. 1 or 2 more auto attacks will do it, but he has the win run, and he'll be A-OK. Death Prophet skipping the ultimate here, going for the 4-0-3 build, that extra point in Witchcraft. We've seen DPs do this in matches prior, but I think we're both on the same page that not particularly large fans of holding the Exorcism. A situation like this, it would really come in handy.
Oh, Chain Frost will almost kill off Miracle, but you really got to count that HP.
Oh.
He's a lot tankier than he may seem, and that's
Two
a completely
hit points
wasted
on the
ultimate.
Lich. Oh, man. That was a close call on both sides of the coin. But, wow, that Lich barely surviving. Meanwhile, down bottom, Wraith King will get caught. He has the ultimate, so he'll come right back up. Viper only level 5, so no Viper Strike here. He can grab a kill on this Disruptor, I think. Yeah, there's the Wraithfire Blast. One more chop, chop, chop will cut him down, and that will make it 8-1 as FD further their lead here. Let's take a glance at the graphs. Already 3,000 gold, 3,000 experience. That's a whole lot of boodle going the way of the Dire.
Yeah, and in the meantime, MSI are just chugging gold. Like, there was a panic clarity in between Wraith King's auto attacks. I don't really know what that would have done for him, but there's this real panic mode. They are unnerved at how dominant FD have been, and immediately TPing to the mid lane. He just walked right into a shackle. Miracle gets another freebie with that double damage rune. Now picks up a Blink Dagger, and now is just able to be an absolute, if it wasn't dominant before, he's able to maneuver in the fights, find the openings. Another shackle shot comes out. Will it set up the concoction? Here comes Kai. There's the stun, and Miracle is still alive and still tanking like a boss. Goes through, the Exorcism comes through, and Zero will turn it around on to Miracle, on to Kai. A double kill for him as he puts some damage into the tower subsequently.
Oh, wow. Miracle, I think he used his win run by mistake. He had enough mana for the power shot and was close to having enough damage for the kill, and used the win run that didn't have enough mana for the power shot and just died. So I don't know if he meant to do that and was hoping he could make it out, but if he had just gone for the power shot, it would have been a close call. I don't know if they would have had the damage to kill the DP, but Alk would have had a good chance of finishing her off as she was standing on top of the acid spray. But alas, that is a decent streak going the way of Death Prophet. 500 gold. Down bottom, we'll see Viper initiated upon as Lubby comes around the backside. That's a level 7 Skywrath. Mystic Flare just doing so much damage here. The level 6 Lich without Chain Frost available will get dove. KS, no ultimate available, will get caught inside the Chrono. The tower not helping out the Faceless Void. And now Miracle's down. The Shackle connects once again. A Wraith Fire Blast. KS still alive. The Void falls. Now Disruptor, he's trying to find the Wraith King, but he's too damn tanky. He'll TP home. Lich doesn't have a Chain Frost, but has the damage to take him down with a Frost Nova. Miracle, he wants vengeance. Now it's Dafa that joins the party. That's a Ravage, and they just get cleaned up. MSI completely wiped up at this bottom exchange, and it will cost them only the Wraith King.
Yeah,
wow.
They don't have the detection for the Death Prophet, but he knew it was coming from that direction via wards. Now just trying to scout him out, but instead farming creep waves out here. So he's got his ultimate available. Miracle can go ahead and put this into a tower if he wants it, or a hero. Pick off from the Invis Death Prophet will actually bring down the low HP Skywrath, so at least finding something for her trouble. She's actually going all right now with 3-1 and 3. Or sorry, that's the wrong KD. 3-3 and 0. She's actually rubber banded quite a bit, but she's still squishy enough for Miracle to bring down.
Yeah, Shackle right into ultimate, and she is damn low. Tide will try to cut her off. A few more auto attacks will bring her down. Miracle low on mana, but still has the ultimate. So just a few quick auto attacks away. The Lich ult flies, will bounce once. Frost Nova onto the Tide Hunter. Lich might have enough to bring him down. Tide has no options here. No mana, no TP, no regeneration. What is a Tide to do? It's take a tumble as Lich gets another kill up on the scoreboard. So first departure getting a little aggressive here as, again, it's just a non-stop fight in this bottom lane. Lich will get dove, and I think this tower will finally fall as KS throws a few more right clicks its way.
Yeah, and Tide just buys some time for them to come right back with the TP scrolls and finish a couple more heroes off. It's 15-6 in their favor. Whenever Chronosphere is down, they're perfectly fine to fight it out, even at a numbers disadvantage. They just have so much behind them right now, and their disables are really on point. We're going to see Wind Ranger pick up the Mithril Hammer, most likely going into the Maelstrom buildup. That Miracle favors so much, and there's just so much right-click damage output from this point forward. We're going to see a smoke come through from Viper and the Disruptor, trying to converge with the Death Prophet and Void to try to make something happen on the top lane.
Yeah, they pressured that tier 1 tower hoping for an exchange, but unfortunately for them, the Dire side had a glyph, and first departure secure deny. It does make some space for Death Prophet up in the top lane. She does use the ultimate, and she is now level 11, so it's a level 2 Exorcism for a bit of extra damage. First departure chipping at the tier 1 in the mid lane, and that will start to level out the tower count a bit. MSI won't let it go without a fight. They are making rotations. It will be a difficult defense without the Exorcism available, though. It's just now about to expire. Dafa in the front lines does get frozen up by the Lich, glimpsed back, 5 seconds until he can Ravage, pulled into the Static Storm, but he will survive to tell the tale. Lich getting initiated upon, there's your Chrono, and it will bring down the tide, perfectly timed to prevent the Ravage from coming out. KS in the front lines now has a Reincarnate available, so hoping to proc the slow, but the team follow-up isn't there, and this could end up just being a feed for the Wraith King, unless he has some plans for the Great Escape. He will make it outside of the kinetic field. Alchemist charging up a stun, coming forward. Now Skywrath initiating Mystic Flare down. That will finish off the Faceless Void. Alchemist gets dropped by the Viper, though, on his way in. Now Lubby, blow for blow with the Death Prophet. He has his buddy Wraith King here to help him out. A nice silence, but now Miracle joins the party. Another Shackle into Wraithfire Blast. It's a dead Death Prophet. Tier 1 tower is denied by the Disruptor, but Miracle showing off the Blink Dagger, has a Shackle up in 2 seconds, looking for this Viper kill, positioning himself appropriately, and will not find the Shackle, but it doesn't matter. They don't need it. That's a kill. Miracle on the run, but will survive as he takes a few tower shots. They ping him out heavy in the trees, but Blink Dagger keeps him safe.
Yeah, just able to orchestrate these fights with all these disables. I mean, it really is all about the stuns. On the side of MSI, they have a Chronosphere to disable their opponents hardcore. Otherwise, it's all slows. Attack speed slow, movement speed slows. It doesn't matter. They're still able to act, and that's where First Departure have them beat. Shackle Shot, Unstable Concoction, Wraithfire Blast, Ravage. They have so many major disables they can throw out, and most of them on short CDs. So they're able to control the fights, continue to lock down their opponents, continue to net many frags, and now we do see Miracle popping the Focus Fire on to Roshan, who's being dropped down by Medallion as well. This is an easy Rosh for them. KS is just a little too tanky for the side of the Radiant, and even for Roshan himself.
The Medallion is what makes it so easy here. That minus armor plus the Wind Ranger ultimate. And it is level 2. Miracle's put some points in it, and with the Rosh will finish up his Maelstrom. Like you were mentioning, a build that Miracle really likes on this hero, and will prove pretty successful, I think, given how quickly he's picked it up. His farm still topping the chart, 7.6k on net worth, a good 1,500 up on the Void, who did go for Hand of Midas first. Speaking of Void, he now will complete his Mask of Madness recipe picked up in the bank back home. So he is starting to come online, but baby steps here, Blaze. Speaking of other item progressions, Dafa will find himself a mech as it gets delivered via the courier.
Yeah, that's pretty immense as well. Just having that bonus armor for the entire team, and of course now the mana to support it with the Arcane Boots. It's pretty much just he's going to be on the back line. If things start turning sour, that's when he comes in. Right out the gate, it's going to be Miracle being aggressive, starting something off, and the stunners to follow through. But Tidehunter is kind of going to be the one meandering behind, and as soon as things start looking bad, that's when the mechanism, the Ravage, comes out and saves the day. So it's going to be the reinforcements from him. He's the cavalry, and Wind Ranger is leading the charge. Miracle's just looking so good right now. I mean, his only death was to, I think, a mechanical error. The thought that maybe the Wind Run would negate the effects of Exorcism. It does not, but other than that, like, he's been pretty much on point this entire game, and even now they're going to be going in for the pretty easy kill on this tier 1 unless Bayabas hits the chrono of his life.
Well, there is a Disruptor hiding off to the side with an ultimate and kinetic field ready. 3 points in the glimpse as well, so if First Departure try to make a retreat, they could get punished by the man on the Raptor. But they won't fall into that trap. Instead, MSI will do a 5-man smoke. I like this cheeky play here as they press forward. Void hops with the Time Walk, looking for the Chrono. Can't find it. Doesn't whiff it. He will hold it. But their jig is up, as it were, as the smoke gets revealed. Miracle blinks forward, scouted out by the Death Prophet. Gets pinged, and both sides will just disengage. Everyone with all of their ultimates available, and, well, both sides just being very cautious to find the initiation that they want.
Yeah, it was kind of an interesting reflex from Chaos to blink into the tree line, but it's actually pretty favorable here as they were looking to engage, and coming out of the woodwork would be exactly that. As well, the only clear vision that's really available is Kinetic Field, dropped in a really lucky location, or the Chronosphere itself, which they don't want to commit.
Well, they will commit the Glyph, and they will make a hold, Wraith King in the front lines has the ultimate. Dafa off to the side where the Disruptor was just moments ago, trying to set a trap himself in terms of the Ravage, trying to sit back a little more, but again, he'll get caught in the Chrono. Dafa moving in for the Ravage, they'll focus him down, the right target to focus, the Chain Frost bouncing around the backside, secures the kill on the Alchemist, and it will be a good fight for MSI. The Chain Frost doing some crippling damage here. KS did get picked off, proc the ultimate, will find a recovery kill on the Disruptor. It will end as a 1-for-3 plus the tower. Tide, wishing he had a Blink Dagger right now. He has the mech, but if he can't use it, it doesn't do too much. Miracle will get caught, and that will be the end of the Aegis, as there is a Yule's Scepter up on the Death Prophet. He will blink back. Maybe Miracle can still survive. And yes, he will. But this Tidehunter, he has to get off the Ravage, and now that he's the mech carrier, him not getting caught in Chrono is an even higher priority.
Yeah, it's hard to position yourself without the Blink Dagger, but like I said, Dafa had to be on the back line to turn around the fight, not to start it off. That's where the respawning heroes, the Wraith King and the Wind Ranger with the Aegis, were kind of intended to do, but strategically the Tide did not need to be involved, and he was just a little bit too close for that Chrono. So big usage of the ultimates there. That's what defines MSI's lineup, and we saw it there. The Chain Frost inside the Chronosphere, followed up by the Static Field, and MSI pull a rabbit out of the hat. They pull forward in the graphs especially. Like, they were so far behind. Now they're obviously still behind, but to a lesser extent.
He'll get jumped upon. The mech helps pick him up, but it's just not enough. Mystic Flare out on the Viper. Not enough to bring him down, but it does take him low. First Departure hoping for a double kill there, but will settle for just a singleton on the Disruptor. Looks like they will rotate down towards bottom. Just wards coming out on the Courier for now as Tide tries to farm up his Blink Dagger. Perhaps First Departure will press into this bottom tier 2 tower. Exorcism up in about 10 seconds, and Chrono has already cooled down. Void has hit that level 11 mark, and that is the first milestone, getting that Chronosphere down 20 seconds shorter. Still a decent cooldown at 100 seconds, but does give him a little more utility to fight more frequently. Has a Mithril Hammer up now. Hard to say if that'll be a BKB or a Maelstrom, but at least he is hitting a little harder now in context of these team fights. FD secure the tier 2 tower in the bottom lane without the Exorcism up early enough to start the defense, nor a Glyph. MSI won't have much of a choice other than to let it fall and press forward. They did actually smoke up for that as well, and could find initiation perhaps. Void with a Chrono available. They'll hang around. He finds Lubby and Miracle. Miracle actually gets glimpsed out of the Chrono. Oh, what a disastrous play for the Disruptor. They still find a kill on the Skywrath, but could have been a double. Dafa has the Ravage available. They could look to turn this around. He'll get caught by the Yules. Does he burn the Ravage or save it? He will save it. Tries to TP home. No, he turns it around. There's the Ravage. The Unstable Concoction flies through. The Shackle connects, but there just isn't enough damage. The mech comes out, and that will keep everyone topped off. Void time walks to the low ground, looking for some damage onto Miracle. Miracle turns on the ultimate, will chip into the Void, but it's a 1v5. Glimpse, kinetic field off the mark, but Miracle, he will turn it around. That's a dead faceless Void. 7 hit points to spare. Oh, Boulder Dash indeed, Blaze. Miracle living up to his name as he makes the plays happen.
Yeah, that was absolutely insane in the tail end of that. Obviously, he lucked out quite a bit by the Disruptor play there, but I think the bigger error in that fight was the Tidehunter even bothering to use Ravage. Yeah. The mechanism hadn't even come out yet, so they knew they had a lot more potential HP on all their heroes, and they still tried to go for it anyways at a significant cost. Disruptor will be picked off here in the mid. Wraith King perfectly willing to jump in and just chomp on him with that armlet.
Yeah, Armlet, Blink Dagger, and Drums. He's speedy, he hits hard, and he hits fast. Now that he has the Blink Dagger, these supports need to be very careful. Now, I like this aggression out of KS, knowing his limits and also recognizing, well, worst case scenario, they proc my ultimate. I don't think they'll be able to kill me again without Chronosphere. So he went for it, and he does get rewarded for his aggression here. On the retreat, he will clear out the Radiant jungle and minimize some of the area here that Void has to farm for a little bit of enhanced efficiency. First Departure, holding on to a decent lead, 7,500 gold, 5,000 experience, but they are giving MSI a little bit of room as they have found successful skirmishes in these past 2 little fights.
Yeah, I will say the Death Prophet Yules has really paid for itself. The amount of pickoffs they've been able to acquire just based on that, killing off Miracle's Aegis earlier and finding the pickoff on the Tide. Really, the mobility is important, but that ability to pick off a straggler is even more so. Because they really, like I said, don't have hard stuns, so to catch up and get in range for slows, they need something instantaneous, and that's what comes into play here. So BKB is being built up on Bayabas and the Death Prophet. If those two come out, I actually feel good about their chances in the team fight. It's just that Miracle is doing so much with his farm, building up this Aghanim Scepter, and it's all on the Quarry.
Yeah, there it is, delivered. So even though the BKBs are absolutely core against the Tidehunter to deal with the Ravage and all of the stuns from Wraith King and Alchemist, this is a BKB game. I like that Miracle is going for the Ag Scepter here to get a little bit of extra right-click, buff up that ultimate, and let him become more of that right-click carry. Of course, he'll get the buff of the unique attack modifiers. He'll probably end up picking up a crit, maybe a Desolator. We'll see where he wants to go, but Miracle will have some physical damage to deal with those BKBs that are imminent.
Yeah, he might still go for the full Mjolnir. He really favors that build, but just the raw physical damage he can put out right now, it's 150 attack damage, it's mitigated 0%. You get full damage with maximum attack speed. It's just pretty insane, especially now that he has a bottled double damage rune. That's 100 more damage per attack, and he really wants to make the use of it in this next fight.
Yeah, this is really scary. With that Scepter upgrade, it's a 0 damage reduction, so this is scary. They'll hop forward straight onto the Faceless Void, and boy, does he fall quick. Miracle doesn't even pop the DD. Uses his ultimate, but it's down to a 15-second cooldown, so who the hell cares? Holding on to the rune for now, and they will be able to get a Tier 2 tower, it looks like. Glyph is standing for MSI, and they have an Exorcism. If they want to make a hold, they could try, but it won't be easy. I think they'll be better off just letting this tower fall and saving it for another day until they have their full arsenal and Void is respawned.
Wow, he's going for it, though. He saw on the ward the Viper's positioning. He pops the Windrun DD. He really wanted to pick him off, but realizes that it would be essentially a 1v4 and doesn't go for it. Now on the tower, he's missing a lot from the low ground, but he's still putting out huge amounts of damage into this Tier 3.
This is 23 minutes in. That's what's crazy about this damage output here. KS will use the mech, has Reincarnation available. Glyph has already come out, and Miracle's got plenty duration left on this Focus Fire. They'll get this tower damn low. KS takes a silence, and they will retreat. Void is now respawned. Of course, Chrono is online, and FD need to be a little more careful. They still have their big ultimates available, the Reincarnation as well as the Ravage are the two really important ones, but FD won't press their luck. They'll be happy with that damage on the Tier 3 tower so early on, and they will make a retreat. Dafa also now has a Blink Dagger on the Tide, has also hit level 11. He will get initiated upon by the Death Prophet, but I think he'll be okay. Or will he? There's the Yules. Dafa could fall once again. He'll get glimpsed. Silence. Kai is nearby, has a concoction charging that he can throw. They scout it out, and they will back out. Miracle with an invisibility rune will press forward, and maybe they could turn.
It's all about finding the Void, though. Bayabas is the target of choice, but for now, they're going to hit on the Disruptor. He drops down the Sentry Ward, but he just barely walks out of it. They know the threat. They silence him, but he's already up and kicking against the Death Prophet.
Yeah, certainly is. Void takes another silence here. They'll press forward. Ravage just about to come out, but the Static Storm is there. Void takes an unstable concoction. A Shackle will latch. He falls again without a Chrono. Mystic Flare around the backside finishes off the Lich. They get off the Exorcism. FD will start to be repelled. It is the Tidehunter that falls to the Crypt Swarm, but now DP pops for BKB. Alchemist will stun himself. It looks like the kinetic field comes out, but he goes right next up to the DP, secures the stun. Wind Ranger will finish off the dominating streak. Viper coming in, cleans up Miracle. FD trade 3 for 3, just barely surviving on their Disruptor, but KS, he's rejoined the party, has a Reincarnation, and connects with a stun. Viper is destined to fall, and it will be First Departure that come out successful in this fight. Back-to-back engagements where Void can't get off the Chronosphere, completely stymieing MSI's progression in this mid-game.
Yeah, the really sad thing is that the BKB was on the courier. It was en route, and it probably would have been there in approximately 10 to 15 seconds before the Void fell. But he got caught up by the Ancient Seal, could not BKB away from that, and honestly, the fight would have been 100% different if that item had just been out a few moments sooner. But as it is, I don't think that's the worst thing in the world for MSI. Yes, it was a 4 for 3 in favor of First Departure, but Viper just got Miracle's monster kill streak for 1,100 gold. Imagine what he can actually do with that moving forward in this game.
That's a good point. He was the mech carrier here, and now moving towards the Egg Scepter. What's on the courier? That's just a point booster. So still has a bit to recover before he finishes off the Eggs. 1,700 gold to go, but steps in the right direction. Before that, Viper was dirt poor, and now he's at least middle of the pack and ahead of the Tide and the Skywrath, who are rapidly gaining momentum. The other thing worth mentioning now is Alchemist is in the position 4, but he's had a pretty good amount of space to farm. He's now level 9, still no points in Grievel's Greed, but he can take out Ancients with these 4 points in Astray, and now picks up a Blink Dagger. So he's a little more scary, of course, has longer range initiation, and his farm will only get more accelerated as this game goes on and we see points come out into the Grievel's Greed.
Yeah. So in this position, they have 5 Blink Daggers. They have all the initiation in the world against the side of MSI, and it's really going to be on the trigger finger BKB of Faceless Void. If he can get it off before he gets hit by a hard disable, then that's going to be the make or break aspect of this game, because the silence, you can just purge it off, no problem at all. The concoction and Wraithfire Blast, you can generally see coming unless they blink right on top of you, but if you get hit by something just a little too quick, you don't see it coming, then the fight's over before it begins.
Yeah, absolutely right. Assault Karas now completed on the Wraith King. It will be delivered here momentarily. And, yeah, that's just a big item pickup in general. Great against the Death Prophet, of course, giving your team some extra armor. And they have a lot of physical damage. Some big right clicks. Synergizes very well with the Acid Spray of Alchemist. And I mean, they have a Lich for some extra armor, but a lot of relatively low armor heroes here on the Radiant side, and this will really help.
Wow.
Disruptor caught by another Shackle Shock. Miracle makes it look so damn easy. Now Chaos hops forward. Mystic Flare will finish off the Lich. Both supports of the Radiant have fallen. That's a Shiva Ravage right there. I don't know what that was all about. But, well,
I think Blink must have been put on cooldown right when he was about to use it or something, because that was
unfortunate.
Uncharacteristic of Dafa.
But still, they get a 2-for-0, and they finish off the Tier 3 tower. So a wasted cooldown, but not the end of the world. Reinitiation on the Viper now. The Wraithfire Blast. Void with a BKB on, looking for the Chrono, but he can't find it. The BKB is going to expire soon. Wow, even an Exorcism used for this, and it's just the Wraith King. Oh, wow, a Chronosphere for the solo Wraith King. It may delay the push, but Miracle says, all right, I'll just go for the racks. You've used your big ultis. I'll do as much damage as I can before we have to retreat. Does pop the Wind Run, makes the escape. Alchemist charges up a stun. Void comes back forward, and they will have to leave their Alchemist behind as he gets caught in a Kinetic Field Static Storm. Double kill comes out for the Viper. Now a glimpse back onto Dafa, but a shackle onto the Faceless Void. Miracle brings him down. And now FD on the run. A lot of buybacks coming out here. 2 burned on the dire side, the Wraith King and the Alchemist. They want to turn this fight around, and they want racks. Death Prophet will now get isolated. They know there's no big Radiant cooldowns except the Chain Frost. It'll fly around to the neutrals. Finishes off the Tidehunter. Now bouncing back between the heroes. Oh, no. Doing a lot of damage. Only enough to secure the kill on the Tide. This Kinetic Field will buy them some time. Wraith King blinks forward, looking to find another kill, but he just can't do it. These buybacks have proved worth it for now, but Glyph still standing. MSI have a chance to hold. Now it's Viper that buys back. This is getting pretty tense here in the mid lane. If FD can commit to this and finish off the lane of racks, this will be huge. If they get repelled, this will be costly. Viper Strike out onto KS. He does have the ultimate back up now. They go straight onto Miracle. That procs the Aegis. He's coming right back up, and I hope they're ready for it. BKB on the Void, soon to expire, and FD will repel, at least for now. Wraith King falls, and that procs the ultimate. They get the melee racks. They'll leave the range standing, and they will rotate towards the top lane.
Yeah, it's 2 buybacks for 2 buybacks, but unfortunately for MSI, it was on their 2 cores. Void and Viper dumping a lot of cash into those buybacks and not being able to use them for some more time. Obviously, the Alchemist and the Wraith King, not nearly as valuable as far as those respawns go. Alki is probably the lowest contributor of the 5 for first departure, and Wraith King already has that second life every 60 seconds, so is able to make quite a bit of use out of that. It was just incredible how long Miracle was able to stay alive without having to use his Aegis the Immortal, just moving around that fight very effectively, and those buybacks were really important on the side of first departure to not only keep them in the fight, but finish off that melee racks.
Yeah, just imagine if Tide hadn't wasted the Ravage and had it available for that secondary fight. Could have been super disastrous for MSI. But yeah, really a smart read on the buybacks, recognizing that MSI is very cooldown based, and if they use the Exorcism and Chronosphere and don't capitalize on it too hard, they have a chance to reinitiate. Did work out pretty well for him. So first departure now, looking for this last outer tower. Is this tier 2 in the top lane? And MSI will not let it go without a fight. They have their big ultimates available, and so do first departure, so we very well could just see another big team fight clash around the tier 2.
Yeah, they'd love to wait for Faceless Void to find his 16 so that his Chronosphere is that much shorter in CD, but I don't think they have the luxury of that. If they want to hold the tier 2, they've got to make this defense count. But we see Windranger getting ever more farmed. Does not have a buyback, though. Buying out here could be a very costly mistake if he gets caught in the Chrono and gets singled out, but it could be very well worth it at the same time, because MKB proccing while you're going through that focus fire, absolutely insane potential output.
Yeah. Also important to note, there are 5 Blink Daggers on the Dire side right now. None on the side of MSI. That's not something you see too often. A completely 5-0 Blink Dagger count. Every single hero, even both supports, have that long-range initiation. So first departure are pretty cheeky in how far they can sit back and still have the power to initiate on someone, especially when you're talking about an Alchemist and a Wraith King who have some decent range on Unstable Concoction and the Wraithfire Blast. An interesting smoke from Kai will connect on Skywrath as well as the Tide as they rotate towards the mid. It gets revealed as they scout out the Faceless Void, and MSI actually smoking here as well. Both teams with the same idea in mind. FD just goes straight for the tower. Just look how fast Miracle chops it down. The other part of FD wrapping around the side, looking for the cheeky initiation, charging up the concoction. Void hops forward. He finds only Miracle, and the rest of the team will be around the backside. We'll have to zoom out far to catch this fight. Ravage comes in now, connects on most of the Radiant team. Mech gets popped. It is Miracle that falls first. The Chain Frost flying around, and so will the Alchemist go down. Off to the side, the Skywrath falls, and it's a rough team fight for the Dire side. Double kill for KS. Still has his ultimate standing. He will find a triple kill, it looks like. Nope, Tide will come in and he'll help him out. It is a 3 for 3 for now, but Void still standing. He will finish off the Wraith King to proc the ultimate. Does Tide have anything left? Well, he will have a Gush and an Anchor Smash coming up. Can they possibly turn this around? Viper Void, not easy targets to bring down, and they will just try to make the retreat. Wraithfire Blast out on the Viper. Will proc the Corrosive. He'll try to TP out. First hit bash! RNGesus praying from BYB, and that will secure the kill onto KS. Wow. What a time for a bash.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, with the attack speed that Void has, you kind of expect it, but with the PRD building up, but even still, like, having it so early on just crushes your hopes of ever getting out of that situation. But yeah, in the meantime, the range racks did fall in the mid lane. The creep wave and Siege was able to push that through, but it's a minor recompense for the suffering that First Departure just went through. I mean, losing out on the win range at the beginning of that fight, as I was saying, he bought out, so that's a long death timer where he's just not going to be able to do anything else. The only thing they really get in return is that shorter and shorter BKB on Bayabas. He's down to 7 seconds now, and that's around the time where it could be like 1 second away from when Tidehunter wants to ravage in a fight. He really can't spare a second.
Mm-hmm. And there is now a gem in the inventory of Faceless Void. It was stolen following that last fight. It is Lubby's gem, and they got pretty cleaned up. So that is another swing following that skirmish that will move into their favor. Faceless Void now with a Demon Edge. I imagine it'll be a Daedalus. MKB on Void is pretty silly, but usually you'll see Voids grab the Crystallis piece first and then go for the Demon Edge to upgrade the piece. So this makes me wonder a little bit if he might have something else in mind, or just wanted some extra damage rather than the crit first.
Well, the MKB is really nice against the 100% evasion of Windrunner if she's outside the Chronosphere, so generally speaking, that's going to be preferable for him, but he has to be very careful how he spends his gold.
So you're pretty sure it's going to be an MKB over a Daedalus?
I believe so. Yeah. But obviously both have their merits, but I think that he really hates Miracle enough that he feels it's a necessity.
Yeah, maybe worth reiterating once again for the mechanics buffs out there. Chronosphere stops evasion, so that includes Wind Run, but that's only in the Chronosphere. And Void on their position 1, you kind of need him to be auto-attacking even when Chrono isn't up. So I guess it is more warranted here. I don't know. Seems like overkill when you could just be going for crit, but the nice thing about the MKB is it still does give you a lot of damage. Even though the True Strike is overkill, it does give you just the really scary right clicks, and when you have the Mask of Madness for that extra bout of attack speed, does get pretty scary. So to each his own. We'll see how it works out for him.
The big thing here is that they won't have any Sheep Sticks coming out against the Wind Ranger for quite some time. The Death Prophet might be building hers up now, but even if she rushes towards it with that ulti orb, then she's still going to be looking for a very delayed one with only 1,600 left. They are smoked up, trying to use the Death Prophet as bait. Should be able to find out Kai, but again, no blinks. They need the glimpse to be right on point, and indeed it is. But the blink out from Kai. Bayabas has to pursue.
Fast fingers there. Void comes in. Time Walk pops the Mask of Madness. He takes a short duration stun to the face. Kai does have a TP scroll. He'll move into the trees, and considering TPing out, but Miracle actually hops forward, takes a Viper Strike, and now the Chrono comes out, and the rest of the fight will break out as well. Exorcism and Ravage comes. Ravage connects on most of them. Lich trying to get focused down, but they just can't bring him down. It'll be Tide that actually falls. They'll isolate the Wraith King, and it will just be disastrous for the Dire side. A 2-0 to get things started. Chaos off to the side, completely isolated. The rest of his team, just the Alchemist in the side shop. Chaos will just cut his losses and try and TP home, but he gets glimpsed. That'll interrupt him. He still has his ultimate standing, but they shouldn't have a problem bringing him down for a second time. Even Lubby comes back in. He tries to TP home. Will the Bashlord be here? Nope, doesn't have the RNG this time. And, wow, they actually can't kill KS again, but Viper has the poison to bring down Lubby. Wow. Okay, so they don't get the Wraith King, but they do secure the Skywrath Mage. FD, a 4-0. They got nothing out of that. Holy Toledo.
Yeah, this is pretty difficult. This is the hardest point in the game as far as BKBs go, and the fact that they're negating those every single time is important, but even still, it's just so hard to take a fight.
Yeah. I don't know. They'll maybe grab a counter kill or two here as they hop forward. They will find the Void right on the respawn. Maybe they can track down this Viper as they hold the tower. MSI biting off more than they could chew, trying to finish off the tier 1, and it will result in 2 of their cores taking a tumble. Faceless Void and Viper will both fall and be stuck in the grave for a pretty decent duration. So steps in the right direction. I guess it's not all bad for FD as they get kills at a very crucial time. Roche is standing. This is 3rd Roche with Cheese, and they should be able to secure it quite easily. Viper does not have a buyback. Void does, but no vision for MSI. I don't think they'll gamble with a buyback, and even if they wanted to, look how fast Roche falls with all that minus armor.
Yeah, and Miracle, of course, is laying into him with the Focus Fire, getting Lifesteal back up to full with the Wraith King Aura, and yeah, he picks up the Aegis for himself. This is extremely important because we've seen how fast Miracle can go down in these fights. 2,000 HP, that's nothing, and they shred through it very, very quickly when they have the focus on point. But it's hard to really commit your resources to kill somebody twice over with 5 seconds in between. You're often having to kind of split your targets and find easier pickoffs than that one, but it's of the utmost importance here.
Yeah. So yeah,
Now,
Aegis on Miracle and... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, one aspect of that last fight that really worked out for them was the fact that Disruptor went to defend. If Disruptor was there to glimpse somebody back when they tried to actually engage on the bottom lane, then that would have been one key person down, perhaps Miracle himself, and that would have been First Departure actually getting turned around on pretty hard. But because the Disruptor was the defender, not the Lich, that gave First Departure an opening, which they very wisely took. Didn't force any buybacks or anything, but made sure that MSI couldn't take any objectives, couldn't prevent Roshan, and now they go for the base.
Yeah, they'll go straight forward. There is a glyph standing, and Miracle just uses the ultimate to chip away at the tower right away. Tide does have enough for the refresher recipe, but hasn't bought it yet. Pulling for buyback. Lubby hops forward. They go right in onto the Void. He pops the BKB out, getting in position to try and stun him, but it won't happen. The Ravage flies through. The Chrono isolates the Alchemist as well as the Wraith King. They bring down the Alchemist, but it's only the support Alch, not the ideal hero, to shut down through the Chronosphere. They will lose their Death Prophet, and that's an instant buyback, but not the best hero to buy back. She's already used her Exorcism and can't get it back. Racks are now exposed as the tier 3 has fallen. The glyph comes out. The big ultis are down, and FD will just stick around long enough to finish off the melee Racks. It will cost them the reincarnation. Miracle laying the right clicks into the Viper. Another Shackle connects. The Force Staff not enough to keep him alive. Viper will take a tumble. Faceless Void now the next target of choice. He falls, and we could be moments from a GG here. No buybacks left on the side of MSI as they get repelled to the base. Another shackle shot. Mystic Flare on top of it. Miracle will stand his ground. The MKB just laying into the Radiant side, and they will get completely wiped up. First Departure will secure a victory here in our 3rd game of the day. Yep, there's the GG from MSI.
That last fight there, Bayabas actually bought out for his MKB in the midst of it. Would have had buyback goal, but realized, hey, this Windrunner is too strong. I don't have Chronosphere. There's only one way to bring him down. But when he went into it and went up against the Windrun, he got literally 2 auto attacks off on Miracle and then had to run because he's taken that much damage during Mask of Madness. It's just impossible to assail. The buyout was ineffective, and obviously he doesn't come back for a second time as a result of that. So they already just showed what they could do in the laning phase with supreme dominance therein, and they are able to close it out with the help of their Aegis and some great team fight, which would have been even scarier with the refresher, but obviously not necessary here.
Yeah, not even needed. Dafa had kind of an awkward game on Tidehunter that game. He a couple of Whiffed Ravages got initiated on inappropriately a few times, but the rest of his team more than made up for it. Miracle with a more than dominant performance on that Wind Ranger. 18, 4, and 11. It felt like every shackle he fired that game latched on not only the hero, but if there was another hero nearby, it was a double hero latch. Just absolutely insane skill shots with that Q.
Yeah, I honestly personally feel since the buff to Wind Ranger that it's now Miracle's best hero above Naga Siren. Obviously, Naga is a whole other trick of cards. I mean, you can go ahead and take it to the late game and probably like win 99% of your games, but the way Miracle dominates with Wind Ranger throughout the entire game, including the early to mid, just makes me feel like he can't be beaten on that hero. Obviously, we'll have to test that later on in Starladder, but for now, it holds true.
Yeah, absolutely. So that wraps up our coverage for day 3 of Starladder 10 SEA group stage, guys. We've got one more day, and then we'll have a small break before chaos ensues and the other regions start up and SEA goes into full swing. But that's it Titan falling against Execration, Immunity winning over Awake, and here we have First Departure dominating over MSI. I'm Zyori, solo in the studio, joined remotely by Blaze, and again, thank you for your coverage and joining me here, pal. Give us a love on Twitter, @BlazeCasting, and of course, I'm @ZyoriTV. Both of those can be found in the title of this broadcast, and @Beyond the Summit for to stay up to date with all things BTS. One more plug, teespring.com/BTSchrono. Or Chroma. Oh my God, Faceless Void stuck in my head here. The Chroma. We've got t-shirts for sale, guys. We chose the design. You guys get to choose the color. And we'll drop one last link in chat. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow. VODs coming up right after this.